Greetings, Petrolheads. My name is Tom. You're on my gaming channel, and it's time for another episode of Automation, the car company tycoon game. And today I'm going to review another car. It was sent in by, well, I don't have a YouTube username for him, so I basically have to say his real name. It's Evander Ogidan, and he sent me a hot hatchback, which is called the Excel. Let's see what the areas are at which it excels. It's the Excel RS. So he says this is a hot hatchback similar, or at least in the same range as the BMW 130i, the Audi S3 and such, and you know, no RS3 territory, no Mark 7 Golf R territory or anything like that, but a little bit below that. So we have a monocoque that is made from AHS steel. Engine is placed transversely. We have double wishbone front and rear with plastic panels. That, yeah, I like polymer panels on, you know, affordable sporty cars, because let's face it, plastic is light and cheap, so those are two pretty advantageous things to have in a car like this. So as far as the looks go, I'm not sure how to feel about them. It certainly looks sporty. I'm not a big fan of those lights inside this grille here, but overall it looks distinct, and yeah, with the bonnet scoop and the roof scoop and the plastic lip used as a spoiler here and those dual oval exhaust, yeah, this thing really looks fast. So let's see. Oh, it's all-wheel drive. So yeah, let's see what makes it fast. This is a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4. Oh, excuse me. So we got 85 bore, 88 stroke, 4 valves per cylinder with a dual overhead cam setup, VVL. The block and the head are both made from cast iron, so it's a little heavy. It's also not very expensive though. However, the crank is also cast iron. The conrods and the pistons are both forged, you know, like this is I-beam steel. It still requires forge works. So I'm interested to know why did you go for I-beam steel conrods and forged pistons, but not a forged crank? I mean, sure, it's cheaper to have a cast iron crank, but not that much. And this will probably, well, all it really does is increase smoothness and shave off a little bit of weight still. So we got a really low cam profile of only 20. That is why the max power is reached early at 6400 RPM, with the VVL profile of 50. It's average, it's not overly aggressive, so it's fine. We got VVT on all cams too. It is obviously turbocharged, we saw that. Ball bearing, watered air medium intercooler. So yeah, basically the most expensive and pretty inarguably best, but also heaviest option available. We got a compressor size of 48.5 millimeters and turbine of 52 millimeters. So usually what you wanna do is have your turbine be smaller than your compressor, because the smaller the turbine is, the earlier the earlier it'll spool up and the longer it'll hold its boost. However, the the max power output is gonna be reduced. So this way, with a slightly bigger turbine and a smaller compressor, your turbine is gonna spool up a little bit later, but it'll also hold. It'll just hold on to the max boost for longer because the compressor is a little bit bigger. Actually, no, I said it. Anyway, the AR ratio of 0.85 is a little bit low. I think you could definitely go for a higher AR ratio than that. And what we... No, this is... I thought this was a little bit yellowish. Oh, wait. This part is restricting airflow through the engine, so that is... Is that the intercooler? Is that the compressor or what? Oh, wait a minute. If I cannot increase the compressor size anymore. To try that out. Okay. Anyway. So we got multi-point EFI injection. In 2007 that's still acceptable. Let's keep in mind that this is not a 2015 car, where direct injection would have been basically the go-to. And it looks like we do have some performance intakes. Yes, that is definitely a performance intake. So, a 13.9 to 1 fuel mixture is relatively lean. So we should get a decent economy out of this engine. 59 ignition timing makes it so the peak power comes in a little bit later. However, with the low cam profile, he was able to tune that in such a way that you get a nice power plateau in the higher RPM range. So with 7200 RPM limit, yeah, you get that power for a long amount of time. You could just as easily cut it off at, like, say 6500 RPM, and then you get basically no time to really make use of that peak power that it has. So a single exhaust with 3-inch diameter, it's a little overkill maybe, but it is at least not restrictive. So three-way cat, one baffled and one straight through muffler with +7 quality. Interested to know why he put so much quality in this exhaust. To make it louder, well, it's still not that loud. You might as well, you know, remove one muffler to achieve that. So let's listen to it. I just like it when in the lower to low mid-range RPMs you can really hear the turbo spool up and the whistle gets a little bit louder and louder, and then it's fully there, and then you know just from hearing that the turbo is fully spooled up and ready for attack basically. 22.73% economy is a little lower than I had expected, but it's still okay. So let's go to the trim section. It's got a 6-speed manual gearbox, which is basically the go-to in a hot hatch, especially in 2007. You know, these days, even hot hatches are oftentimes equipped with double clutch systems with the flappy pedals behind the steering wheel, you know, to act like they were supercars when they're actually not. Yeah, so 6-speed manual is nice and sporty, 266 kilometers an hour of projected top speed, 49 spacing is fine, a viscous LSD. Let's remember this is all-wheel drive and we have a power distribution of 51 to 49, So viscous LSD should definitely not have much problem putting that power down, and we see that here as well with 10.6% wheel spin. We got sports tires on this thing, 17-inch rims. Yeah, they look fine. They don't look too big. 225s front and rear, no offset in the rear, but a little bit of offset on the front. Yes, that looks realistic and fine. Alloy wheels, it's pretty much standard. Oh, +2 quality here. And on the drivetrain tab as well. I didn't look at that earlier. So they really put some money into the essentials of a car, basically. Like we saw that he did put some quality on the engine, and now also on the drivetrain and the tires. So he really wants this car to be, shall we say, a driver's car that focuses more on, you know, the essential parts of a car that make it drive, rather than focusing on, you know, fancy futuristic interior and tons of driver aids to make the car easier to drive, but once you turn them off it drives like garbage. So we got vented discs on the front and solid discs on the rear. Only 2 pistons up front and 1 in the rear, but it still brakes really well, and we got no brake fade at all. So this saves some weight, and it's still quite effective, as you can see by the braking distance. And he lowered the pad type in order to achieve better comfort and drivability. Because it's always good when the more saturated red line for the front tires is at the same level as the less saturated red line for the front brakes, and same for the rear, obviously. Because if you let's do a little thing here. In this situation, the brakes are way stronger than how much the front tires actually can brake, because there's only so much grip on those front tires. And as you can see, by upping this pad type, I lost some drivability and some comfort. I gained a little bit of sportiness though. Since this is a hot hatch and not a supercar though, it is advisable to have this setup like he had for better drivability and comfort, because that is more important on a hot hatchback that is, you know, therefore being used every day. He does have some negative quality on the aero tab though, and that is interesting, because what is this car now basically? It is a car that, you know, it goes well, it will probably handle well too, but we can't say that for sure yet because we haven't been to the suspension tab yet. But the aero quality might make for a little bit worse fuel economy than would be otherwise possible. However, it's still good, and the top speed is gonna suffer a little bit. We did see that he geared this car to 266 kilometers an hour, but it'll only reach 241.5 kilometers an hour, presumably because of the bad aero. And he has a lot of front downforce, but not that much rear downforce, and he's actually generating lift on the rear end, so that's not good for the high speed handling. Will benefit him on the low speed cornering though. So we got only 4 seats with standard interior and entertainment, all driver aids with +1 quality, and standard safety with -1 quality. Again, it seems like he's focusing, yeah, that's what I expected. He's focusing on the essentials of a car that make it drive. We saw that the engine is high quality, we saw that the drivetrain is high quality, and we can see here as well that the suspension is good quality. So we do have standard springs with adaptive dampers and semi-active sway bars. And bump graphs look relatively nice. This is a little bit... yeah, this is a relatively sporty setup with a little bit more camber front than on the rear. And he did manage to hit a very nice graph of steering behavior here with 1.0 sportiness and still a 0.93 drivability, and it will understeer just ever so slightly once you reach the limit. So all that combined results in a car with 55th drivability, 46.5 sportiness, 32.2 comfort, 21.1 prestige, and 50 safety. 50 points in safety, even with the standard safety equipment. That's actually really good. That's a remarkable number for only standard safety equipment, with -1 quality on top of that. So the total costs are nearly 11,000. The 0 to 100 kilometers an hour takes 5 seconds flat, with a quarter mile time of 13.16 seconds at 166 kilometers an hour. That's not bad for a hot hatch. That's not bad at all. 129.0 around the effort track. That's also very respectable. And considering this is not a rival for, you know, the RS3, like the top tier, or the Ford Focus RS 500 or something like that. This is not a quote-unquote top tier hot hatchback. So the performance is definitely on par with its other classmates. And the fuel economy is actually really good, despite the fact that we have only multi-point fuel injection and a fuel mixture of 13.9, and also, what was I about to say? Yeah, CAN profile of only 20, which will also decrease our efficiency a little bit. Yeah, let's check through all these tabs here, and we can see we got +1 quality here, +4 quality on the head, +3 on the turbo, +2 on the fuel system, and +7 on the exhaust. So this engine is quite expensive, and yet it only takes 58.8 production units to make. That is less than, say, your average Ford Mustang pushrod V8. Or no, I don't think the Mustang uses pushrods anymore, but the Camaro does, and the Corvette still does. So those engines, I mean, it's kind of hard to compare a Corvette engine with this engine, just looking at the sheer power numbers. But since this car is turbocharged and has a lot of high quality parts in it, you might think that it would be a little bit that it would take a little bit longer to make, but it won't. So this is a pretty well thought out car, very well executed, and I like it, aside from maybe the styling a little bit, but it doesn't look bad. It's just not completely to my personal preferences. However, it does its job very well. We have also an average reliability of 71.9. that is really good and definitely on par with the Germans. Service cost, yeah, 2,634 per year is not ridiculous, but since this has a performance intake, that adds to those service costs. So overall, I think this is a decent hot hatch, well done, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please click the like button, it helps out a great deal. Also subscribe if you want to see more in the future, but for now thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.